Good morning to one and all present here. Today we are going to discuss Scene 3 of Tughlaq. Scene 3 takes place in Tughlaq's court with a focus on key discussion and decision about his governance. The scene deepens the sense of disillusionment and chaos stemming from Tughlaq's reforms. New characters enter the scene, showcasing the growing complexity of Tughlaq's political landscape. Bharani, a historian who advises Tughlaq. Bharani reflects the intellectual dilemma of being in Tughlaq's court, balancing loyalty with the growing realization of Tughlaq's flaws. Shihabuddin, a character who represents loyalty and faith in Tughlaq's vision, but is also wary of the growing dissatisfaction. Tughlaq is confronted with the growing discontent over his policies, particularly the impracticality of the copper currency and the forced migration to Dawlatabad. His inability to understand the practical consequences of his idealistic vision highlighted his sense of isolation and frustration becomes clear. Tughlaq speaks about his vision of law and justice, emphasizing the importance of fairness. His idealistic pursuit of justice contrasts with the chaotic result of his rule. His subjects suffer under the weight of his policies. Bharani and Shihabuddin's reaction to Tughlaq's rhetoric reveal their growing concerns. Citizens and officials alike are beginning to voice their dissatisfaction, which signals the broader unrest in the kingdom. Discontent is not just political but also economic, as the copper currency system leads to widespread forgery and devaluation. Tughlaq's authoritarian rule. Despite his philosophical ideals, Tughlaq begins to lean toward authoritarian method to enforce his decisions. His transition reflects the central theme of the play, the conflict between idealism and the brutal realities of governance. His court becomes increasingly tense, with advisors beginning to fear the Sultan's erratic decisions. Role of Aziz. Although not the central focus of Scene 3, the shadow of characters like Aziz, who exploit Tughlaq's policies, looms large. Aziz's opportunistic behavior reflects the failure of Tughlaq's idealistic vision as corrupting grows within the system. Themes that are being dealt in Tughlaq is idealism versus realism. Tughlaq's high-minded principles continue to clash with the realities of running a kingdom. Justice versus tyranny. Tughlaq's sense of justice becomes overshadowed by these authoritarian measures. Isolation of power. The scene portrays Tughlaq as increasingly isolated from his advisors and subject. Symbolism that has been dealt in Scene 3. Prayer and faith. Tughlaq's insistence on religious rituals like praying 5 times a day serves as a symbol. His need of control and righteousness, but it is undercut by the chaos in his kingdom. The courtroom setting is symbolic of the Sultan's attempt to control his kingdom through law. But the underlying corruption and dissatisfaction suggests an impending collapse. Scene 3 marks a turning point where Tughlaq's idealism begins to show signs of breaking under the weight of his impractical policies. The scene sets up the eventual betrayal and downfall of Tughlaq as loyalty wanes and opportunism grows. Tughlaq's isolation and frustration with his own vision of just and unified kingdom become more pronounced, foreshadowing the tragic events to come. So, Tughlaq throughout the play suffers mental torture, and also because he always thinks about his subjects because of his idealistic perspective. Thank you.